Hello, and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast is number 1453. The topic is training. The title is Program Example, Muscle Growth with Joint Protection. So we're going to talk through a recent program I wrote for a client. What we do with this is one of my clients where I do the training and nutrition. So the nutrition is everything is personalized. So whether the person tracks macros, whether they don't, we have organizational ways for them to kind of control what they're eating. Then if they are tracking macros, I go into their app and actually look at each individual day and confirm, were calories good, protein was good, distribution was good, meal selection to match like digestion rates, sugar content, cholesterol, sodium, all those things, if, whatever's pertaining to that person's goal. Then we read through any questions, if they want to know, how do I blend, getting a breakfast in this kind of situation, or a lunch in that kind of situation, or what if I can't eat these foods, what can I do? So we do a lot of that, all that with the nutrition. And then we also, for their training, we write training programs based on whatever gym they're at. So this client is at a basic kind of commercial gym. Some of my clients train at their house, some of them train at my gym. So it's kind of like a nice blend. And then we match their schedule. Can they train 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week? All those things. Then whatever their abilities are. Do they have bad knees, or they want to do, so they have to avoid certain lifts, or hopefully we actually rehab their knees. So I have a corrective exercise specialist certification, so I do all that stuff with them as well. So it's all kind of super personalized, super fun. It's basically, instead of following, somebody else's generic program, you get a program that's actually yours. And then you can follow it for life, because we're going to basically, with all my clients, I develop out a kind of like a template or a structure that fits best for their goals in that moment. And then every 4 weeks, we renew with brand new exercises and much more variety. They learn new movements. And then, whenever the clients, if for, financial reasons, schedule reasons, maybe they reach their goals, changes in life, whatever it might be, whenever we're done, they would then have those programs to keep for the rest of their life. And the programs all follow a very similar structure, so they can plug in their own movements as they develop it and kind of go on their own. So it's super awesome, because there's a ton of education involved while also getting the personalized touch. So this client, what I want to read through is they want to eventually get on stage and do a bodybuilding kind of show. Now, are they going to be like super jacked and massive? No, because they're not taking any drugs. So we're going to be doing a natural show. But we still want them to be jacked and massive. So absolutely 100%, we're going to get them as big and as lean as they can possibly be. But the reason why I point it out is I want people to know, if you're listening to this, that this is a program, and these are concepts that you could follow even if you're not taking drugs. So I do help people in tested and non-tested organizations get pro cards in bodybuilding. So I have familiarity with all of that. But this is a program, and these are concepts and stuff that I'm explaining that, if you're not taking drugs, this is still very useful information. Awesome. Okay, so let's go through the program. So what we're looking to do is I want to get this person jacked and huge to get on stage, but we also do want to be mindful of the joints. So we're not doing like super heavy squats and deadlifts blended all into this. We're not doing things that are aggressive and herky-jerky type movements. We're using a blend of isolations, which means like exercises for only one muscle, and compound movements, which are exercises that use multiple muscles. So it's all like what I would consider, this is like basic bodybuilding, but it's a hell of a lot more detailed, and there's a lot more specifics to it than probably what actual basic is. This is just what I would consider basic for what I know or what I do with certain clients. So what I mean by that, real quick, is it doesn't mean they're not going to get great results from it. That doesn't mean basic. But some programs, we will blend, okay, I want bodybuilding, but I want to eventually be able to compete in powerlifting. However, I also don't want to grow my torso too big, where the person maybe, sells their image for a living, and so they want to do bodybuilding. They want to build maybe their upper back and chest, but like not as much as their arms. They want to eventually get into powerlifting, but they don't want to thicken their core, and they need to stay lean the entire time because they're putting their images on social media to help sell programs and stuff. So that is the more complex stuff that I love doing, and it's a lot of fun. Okay, enough of me rambling. So for this client, we have 6 workouts a week. Whether he makes the 6th one or not, it doesn't have to be 100% consistent all the time. But on some weeks, he does have the availability to do it 6 times, so he wants to know what to do. Makes sense. So workout 1, we actually start with upper body, and we have an arm focus. So for him to get on stage and for him to look jacked, and he wants to look jacked, more than just on stage, like when he's walking around, if he's going to a picnic in the local little community of housing. He wants to be the most jacked dude there, which is kind of funny because I also trained somebody that he would see at those, and I'm also helping that person try to be the most jacked person there. So it's really fun. But good full arms, when you're in a t-shirt, they look good. Like you look good when you got some big arms on you. So we're starting with arms. Then workout 2, we do lower body. So that's, all the leg stuff. Workout 3, we go back to the upper body, but we have a chest and back focus. So that way it just kind of fills out, all the big parts in the upper body. Number 4, we go back to the lower body. And we'll explain where the first lower body workout's more of a quad focus. Second lower body workout's more of a hamstring focus. Then workout 5, we go to the upper body, but we go back to back. So just an awesome full back day. So what this does is this really helps build up his back and his arms through the first 5 days, but balancing upper body and lower body growth as well. And then workout number 6, when he gets it in, is an upper body day with a ton of shoulder focus. So his shoulders are indirectly worked through all the, a lot of the arm, chest, and back stuff as well. So to have the last day be shoulder focused is just as an extra throw on to try to get that kind of jacked look. So the way people usually look massive is a little different than what most people think. When most people say, I want to look jacked, they do chest and abs. And it's like, oh, man, that's if you went after bigger shoulders and a bigger upper back, you're going to get massive and you're going to look way more intimidating than just building out your chest and your abs. If you have good chest and good abs, but you don't have a lot of arm size or shoulder size or back size, you don't look like that huge, jacked, massive dude. You really only look good when your shirt's off. But when the shirt's on, you kind of look a little bit like everybody else. But if you get massive shoulders and upper back, man, shirt on or off, you're going to look huge. So that's why we're focusing on that with this client. So I won't have time to go through all the workouts, but I want to give you just an example of some of the structures and concepts that I use. So since he is in a commercial gym, we have to be aware that if we're pairing 2 exercises together, they have to be typically it's almost like you're going to have to be free weight exercises, like say dumbbell movements, because he's not going to have the ability to put 2 different machines back to back, because while he's on one machine, somebody might steal the other machine. So that's something you have to be mindful of when you write programs or when you're thinking of a program or a workout for yourself if you're in a commercial gym. The other thing is I like to use, if I have one exercise at a 15-degree incline on a bench, I don't want them to have to adjust that to a flat bench between every single set. So if one exercise is a 15-degree incline, I keep the other one at a 15-degree incline. Also, if one of them is standing up, I'm going to keep the other one standing up. I don't want somebody getting up, get down, get up, get down, get up, get down every time. That's going to be annoying. So and then I also pair a lot of the exercises where if there are 2 dumbbell movements, they can use maybe the same set of dumbbells. So for example, I have him his first kind of superset, his first circuit, his first exercise pairing for the arm day is dumbbell seated Sir Charles lateral raises. Now, for all the exercises I give all my clients, we have YouTube videos so they can get a tutorial video, so they'll know what the hell that is, what I just said. So I want them to do sets of 4 to 8 reps. They're going to then pair immediately into dumbbell skull crushers for 16 to 20 reps, and I tell them to go light, go slow, aim to get like a blood pump in the elbow rather than focusing on heavy weight. So this kind of warms them up for the next heavier sets of movements. So the dumbbell Sir Charles lateral raises for sets of 4 to 8, and then he goes into dumbbell skull crusher for sets of 16 to 20. That's going to be roughly similar weight-wise. Maybe a little bit of, maybe for one exercise he's using 20s, the other one he might want 25s, but he's not having to chase down, 17,000 sets of dumbbells in a commercial gym. So he might actually be able to get away with the exact same set of dumbbells for both those exercises. Then after 3 sets of those, he moves into dumbbell-seated Garanda lateral raise, which is another variation of a lateral raise that activates the mid-back and rear delts as well as the middle shoulder muscle. And then he goes into dumbbell rolling tricep extensions. These, I wrote in there that if the elbows feel good, we can go heavier on these and really challenge the triceps. So the skull crushers is a stricter form of what the rolling tricep extensions are. Rolling tricep extensions are basically skull crushers with a little bit of momentum. So we warmed them up in the elbows for the first circuit to then go a little heavier and be more aggressive in the second circuit. Then the third circuit we have is dumbbell chest press with outward tilt to increase chest recruitment. So he's actually, in the video shows that you actually tilt the dumbbells outward. So you actually grab on the very inside edge of the handle, and that pulls the dumbbells actually outside to the outside of you, and then that actually activates the chest better when you do the presses, because it's almost like you also have horizontal pressure pulling you outward as well as the vertical pressure of the weight itself against gravity. And then he pairs that with a dumbbell one-arm row, and it's feet in an open stance, hand on the bench, and he's going to start with his palm neutral but rotate to an underhanded grip. That's a little bit of a lighter version of a dumbbell row than the last circuit, which has another version of a dumbbell row. So this one's a little bit lighter and it works on the lower lat, whereas the next one I have him doing is a little heavier and it kind of works on the whole kind of lat from top to bottom. So this is going to help him develop a more full lat, so that way when he is on stage and he turns around, he's going to have nice low lats, where a lot of the other competitors might not if they don't take the time to focus on that. So what's nice is by having coach people through a bunch of competitions, you know what other people tend to focus on and not focus on. So therefore you have your clients focus on all the things that you know the other people will be missing, and then whenever they're on stage, my athletes look way more complete in their physique because they're not missing little parts, whereas somebody else, they might try to build 20-inch arms, but the middle of their back is flat as a piece of paper. And it's like, oh man, you would have been better off having 18-inch arms and really dense and thick mid-back. So you have to balance out the physique. So for all my clients, when I do exercise selections, and then also the volumes per exercise, it really relates to trying to balance out their whole physique. Then the last circuit we have for that day is dumbbell 15-degree incline chest press with a dumbbell 15-degree incline one-arm row. And that's nice and heavy, complex there. He actually has like 4 working sets between those two movements, but through 2 different rep ranges. So that way we get a little bit of a variance in time under tension for those muscles in those movements. So that's going to get a more complete muscle fiber development. So we have, essentially there's 2 muscle fiber types, but in one muscle fiber type, there's 2 types in that. There's an A and a B. So it's stupid. Why didn't they just name them 1, 2, 3? But there's 3 muscle fiber types. There's one that's built for super explosive things, one that's built for medium, and one built for high endurance. Now, the high endurance fibers still do contribute somewhat towards actual muscle size. They've done a bunch of studies and blah, 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 and it's around maybe 10-15% of your total muscle size is contributable by these endurance fibers. So we do a lot of variants of rep ranges for my clients. So some exercises we might have sets of 4 to 8 reps. Other exercises we might have sets of 16 to 20. So I have them kind of balanced between there, and it's just to get a more full fiber development across all the different exercises that we're doing. So, for example, the skull crushers, the first one they did was 16 to 20, get a high blood flow, big burn in the muscle, really work those endurance fibers. Then they did sets of 10 to 14 with the heavier version of the rolling tricep extensions. And then their triceps are going to be somewhat involved in that outward tilted chest press, but not maximally. That's more of just like mostly a chest thing. But when they go to the 15-degree incline chest press, their triceps are definitely going to be involved, and the rep ranges for that are 8 to 12 and then 4 to 8. So the triceps within this singular workout are worked through all rep ranges. All the way from 4 to 20, the triceps have had some kind of stimulus. So you're going to get amazing development because you're blending all 3 fiber types. So this is the stuff that I love doing. It's ridiculously nuanced, and it's completely unnecessary in the sense that most people have no clue that all this is layered into their programs, but it keeps my mind busy, and I like doing it. So we'll share one more workout from this one. We'll share the first lower body workout. How about that? So we do leg extensions, and there's what's called top range partials. So you're actually just doing the top half of the range of motion, and I want him to do that because it works really well at this part of the muscle that is, we have our, like, there's, trying to skip some of the sciencey names. When you look at your quadriceps, even though it says quad, there's essentially 3 spaces that you're going to be able to see when you're on stage. One is called a teardrop muscle. It's on the inside of your thigh, down by your knee. That's going to be very well developed in most people, depending on body types and stuff. And then you have what's called your quad sweep, which is your outside of your quad. And that looks beautiful when it's very well developed. But there's also a muscle in the middle of the quad that it looks like a V, and the point of the V is actually kind of like halfway down your thigh. So that muscle, when that is developed, man, does that look good, and that really makes your legs stand out to people who don't have that. Well, the top range partials works on that little V muscle. So that's why I have him warm up with that. And then what's nice about it is that exercise emphasizes that muscle, but now that muscle's pre-exhausted, and it's going to get a greater degree of stress through everything else that we do that day. So then we go into leg extensions with what's called 1 1/4 reps, which again, you actually do a full range of motion, then a little top partial, then a full range of motion, top partial. So it's just even more partials. So the first partials, he does just 2 sets. Then this 1 1/4 reps, he does 2 sets. So he's not sitting there doing, 6 to 8 total sets of just these weird variations. It's just 4 total sets. Then we go into leg extensions with a pause contraction, which works the entirety of the quadricep. But again, that one little V spot is pre-fatigued, so it's going to get worked really well. Now, the rep ranges we have blended through that are 10 to 14 on the first one, 6 to 10 on the second one, then 4 to 8 on the third one. So again, we're doing a whole spectrum of time under tension ranges to really develop all the fiber types within each of the muscle bellies. So very cool way to start that out. It's going to annihilate his quadriceps, which is fantastic, since this is a quadricep-based day. Then I have him do dumbbell stiff leg deadlifts, but with only 1 dumbbell. This works a little bit of core. It also limits how heavy he can go because I don't want him to jack up his lower back or his hamstrings too much because I have workout number 4 is lower body as well. So the dumbbell stiff leg deadlifts with a one dumbbell is actually a limiting type of movement, but it annihilates your hamstrings and glutes. It just limits how much wear and tear you can get on the body. So I have a fresher body for him in workout number 4. Then we pair that with dumbbell walking lunges with a suitcase carry. So he's basically just doing dumbbell walking lunges, holding 1 dumbbell at his side. So he does that for, half the, maybe 10 to 12 steps. Then he switches the dumbbell to the other side for 10 to 12 steps. That's, again, more core development. So we're getting a lot of, oblique development, a lot of rectus abdominis, like your 6-pack development. We're getting a lot of there's a lot of terminology for it, but interplay between how the core stabilizes and braces the hips. So this is actually going to help pull his ab wall and everything inward to have a nice kind of tight looking core. So that's going to be involved in the movements that we're also using to build his hamstrings, his quads, his glutes. So it's a lot of awesome stability there and a lot of back health as well. So really good combination there. And then he finishes with leg press. So the leg press is just kind of annihilate anything that's left. So he does 2 sets of 12 to 16 and 2 sets of 8 to 12. So that is his lower body workout. We start out with quad isolations, make sure we pre-fatigue the quads. So then in the rest of the movements, the quads are the limiters. His hamstrings are still going to get worked, but then they'll still be fresh-ish on workout number 4. But then also within the quad pre-fatigue, we pre-fatigue that V because I want the V to develop as much as or faster than the rest of the quads. So you have to pre-fatigue the V, then pre-fatigue the quads, then go into the major movements with that double layer of pre-fatigue. So really fun stuff. I love these kind of things. So the rest of the workouts, workout 3, like we said, is chest and back focus. Workout number 4 is lower body again, but hamstring focus. 5 is back, and 6 is shoulders. So I wanted to go through that. This is stuff that I could talk for hours on, so I'll leave it at just those 2 things explained. But I think it's neat. I've gotten some great feedback that people like hearing some of the rationale and thought behind program creation. So I'll keep doing these if everybody likes them. And then also I'll offer anytime I do one of these, you get the program for free. So if you want this program, it's a 4-week program, and it has the workout order, all the things I explained. It's written for a basic commercial type gym. So if you want this, just shoot me an email at brutalirongym@gmail.com. I'll send it to you totally for free. Now, these elements are written for this individual, but if you want to see what it looks like, maybe you want to play with some of the movements, if you haven't seen some of these variations before, just get an idea of seeing what good program looks like. Try this out, try some things out of it, see what you like, but at least it gives you some fun creativity, some fun thoughts, and something new to try if you are looking for something new. Again, our email is brutalirongym@gmail.com, and if you want it, I'll send it to you for free. Cool. Okay, well, that's everything, so I don't get too long, but I thought it was fun to share this. And again, if you like these kind of things, or if you want to learn about a specific type of programming, so this one was for muscle growth with joint protection, if you have your own issues or if you have something you want help with, just again, reach out or email us brutalirongym@gmail.com. I appreciate your time in listening to the podcast. I want to make sure you get what you need from it. Cool. Well, since this is a training podcast, if you are interested in our training services, we do the individualized training programming that also has nutrition included, and it's weekly support. I watch videos as well. If you send videos, I'll give you technique review and that kind of stuff. So it's training that fits your schedule, your equipment, your availability, your own abilities, your goals. It's basically, instead of following someone else's program, like a bulk program written for this quote-unquote average person, get your own damn programming. Like, make your own. Get the program that's actually made for you. That's what this service is. Now, none of our services have any contracts, because if I needed one, I wouldn't be any good. So my goal is to write it so well that you're happy to continue to work with me, not that you're obligated to. So we don't have any contracts. So you can sign up for a month or two, learn what you like, and then if you run into some financial troubles or whatever, you can always back out. But if you are interested in the service, just reach out to us. Our email is brutalirongym@gmail.com. Tell us your goals, and then we'll help you. Okay? So, thank you for listening. If you like our podcast, please share it. The more people we share it with, the more people we can help. Sharing it on social media does reach the most amount of people, so that would be the best if you have the chance to. And then thank you to the patrons of the podcast, people who financially support the podcast. The podcast is well over $1,000 a year for hosting costs. I give an hour to it every day, and we want to keep it for free. So thank you to those who do donate. It does help cover some of that cost, which I really appreciate. If you want to donate, you can do so at our website, www.brutalirongym.com. There's an option there for one-time donation, monthly donation, yearly donation, even just $5 a month. It does go a long way. It does help. So thank you. If you like the information we share in our podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube under the name Brutal Iron Gym. If you have any questions, feedback, suggestions, anything you want to know, let us know at our email, brutalirongym@gmail.com. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.